Did you know that today, in 2020, you can still buy a brand new battery for the iBook Clamshell G3, a computer that was last seen in store shelves a full 2 decades ago? Well, you can, and you can actually get it on Newegg. But the question is, should you? One quirk of the Clamshell iBook is that, unlike most computers, there is no dedicated clock battery inside. Instead, it uses the main laptop battery to store settings like time and date. That can be kind of annoying because it means when you start up your computer fresh after having not been plugged in, if there's no working battery, you're going to have to reset the time and date every time. But that also means that, unlike other 20-year-old laptops, there's no old crusty battery on the motherboard leaking over time and destroying the whole thing. So it can be forgiven for that minor annoyance. Now, you have a couple options if you want to take care of this battery situation. None of them are really very good. This iBook SE came with actually the original box when I got it, and original manuals, and it did have a battery in it, but it was leaking, and it was an aftermarket battery too, so not worth rebuilding that. Another option would be to go on eBay and find an old battery that's dead, an original Apple battery, and try to rebuild it. Not really a great option though, because those batteries cost a lot. They're $30, $40 for a dead battery on eBay, and it's a gamble what you're going to find inside of it. Those cells could have also leaked all over the place. So I was scrounging around on eBay and Amazon trying to find a new battery or a newish battery, and didn't have any luck, when the mighty Jabba clued me into the fact that you can still actually buy a brand new third-party clamshell battery on Newegg, made by a company called Power Warehouse. And they seem to be the sole remaining third-party manufacturer still making batteries for the Clamshell iBook. Now, they're not cheap. This one was $60, but actually compared to the cost of a new iBook battery from Apple back in the day, in the year 2000, that was like $100 some odd. So it's actually not that bad of a deal. So let's open this up together and check it out, test it, see what kind of cells are in here, and see if it's worth the $60 to have a mobile and time-telling clamshell once again. Okay, so here's what showed up inside of a bigger box when I ordered it. Inside the shipping container was this unfortunately kind of beat up box, and for some reason it has rechargeable AAA batteries attached to it. So I don't know what that's about. A bonus, I hope? Or maybe these are the cells for the battery? I hope not. All right, we'll toss that aside and let's see what's inside this box. Now, hopefully this battery made it here intact. Notebook computer battery, batterie pour ordinateur portable, and Wiederrufen battery for notebook computer. All right, moment of truth. Yeah, that looks like the right battery. And there we go. Yeah, so that's the right battery for sure. And if we compare it to my disgusting original battery, yeah, perfect. Except it doesn't have all of this leaking garbage. Let's see on here. Caution, do not open short terminals or expose to heat above 60 degrees Celsius. Well, I'm not going to do most of those things, although we might open this. No brand. Recyclable. That's good, I guess. The terminals look fine. It's not cracked or open or anything. I feel the cells in there just underneath this sticker. But before we do any kind of opening this up, why don't we stick it in the computer and make sure it works? And funny enough, I actually have a bit of an involved history with third-party laptop batteries, in that I actually used to work for a company that manufactured third-party laptop batteries for a million different brands. Oh, come on. So I'm going to use some of that knowledge just to make sure I give this aftermarket battery the best possible chance, at least in that we're going to fully cycle the battery before actually testing it and making sure it lasts for a long time. Now, the Mighty Jabba actually said, because he has the same battery in his clamshell, and he said that he gets about 6 hours out of it. So that's the benchmark. And I'm actually not sure what these got new with Apple original batteries, but 6 hours is pretty surprising. So let's see if we can at least match that. Okay, so the first good sign is that it did light up orange around the plug and stayed orange instead of turning green. So it seems to be charging. But let's take a look at what we're at. All right, well, according to this, battery is charged. 99%. So what we really should do now is let the battery fully discharge and then charge it back up to 100%, which is cycling it. And that should, in theory, make sure that the battery knows what its own charge is. So we're going to unplug. Moment of truth here. Hey! We are now officially on battery power. So I think what we'll do now is, time remaining, 99 hours, 27 minutes. All right. Let's let this discharge fully, and then we'll charge it back up to 100%. And then we'll take a look at some battery software and see what it says about this battery and see how long it can last just turned on, maybe with the browser open. Okay, let's take a quick look inside the battery and see what kind of cells are in here. And this should just snap open. I know the original batteries were just held together with snaps, so this should be the same. All right. And voila. So first off, wow, these are mighty green. And there was a little bit of glue, it seems, holding these together. All right, so after about a minute of Googling, I found out that these are actually Panasonic cells. These are rated for 2250 milliamp hours, 3.6 volt. And that's actually really good. I'm surprised that these cells are real Panasonic cells. I mean, they certainly appear to be real Panasonic cells. Okay, so I did let this discharge all the way to 0 and then charged it back up to 100. And I've got coconut battery on here, so let's see what kind of stuff this says. Here we have our measurements, and we can see what the battery is reporting that it's supposed to have, and then we can see what the computer thinks that the battery has. And they're both at 4,400 milliamp hours, which is spot on with what the listing said. So hopefully that's accurate, and we have our one battery load cycle now. Age of your Mac is 115 months. Yeah, so let's take a saved measurement here. And next thing we'll do is I'm going to just use this tonight and we will see how long the battery lasts. And then we'll take some new measurements with coconut battery and see if everything looks the same. Okay, so it's the next day, and I used this clamshell on battery last night just from the couch with kind of my regular couch usage. I was browsing the internet and I was playing some light games, and I took some notes. So I started around 7:30 p.m. with a full charge, and I forgot to note exactly when I turned it off because I had a couple beers. But I took notes on kind of what I was doing. So 75% brightness with the Wi-Fi on, energy saver, wasn't tuned all the way down. So I even had it up to better performance sometimes because it is a bit slow on the 10.4 Fox. And I was doing just some light web browsing, some hacking, trying to do some performance settings on Tiger here. Found a nice new background. I really like this. And I kept a little bit of a log of how the battery was. And honestly, I was pretty impressed. So 7:30 p.m., again, 100%. A little bit later, 92%. It was showing over 5 hours remaining. So 820 down to 80%, 850, 70%. And so on, and I stopped counting at 10:55 p.m. I probably stopped using this around 11:30, and I remember it was at 10% at that point. So I brought it upstairs, turned it to not go to sleep, and to keep the display on, and just left it run till it hit 0%. So I think that was pretty respectable. I would say that had I used better power management settings, I could have definitely gotten 6 hours of use out of this thing. If I turned the screen brightness down to 50% and turned on energy saver up here, I bet that I could have got the 6 hours that the mighty Jabba saw with his exact same one of these batteries. So I was really, really excited. And I honestly was going to say, I recommend buying one of these batteries. All considered, $60 for a brand new working battery, that's a pretty good deal if you really enjoy your clamshell. But then I opened up coconut battery just now, and I was a little bit surprised. So this battery was rated for 4,400 milliamp hours. And we've now done 2 load cycles. That first one that calibrated the battery when I first got it, and then this last one when I ran it down to 0 last night. And now it's showing that the current battery capacity at 100% charge is only 4144 milliamp hours, meaning that the battery only has 94% of its life remaining. So somehow, this battery lost 6 entire percent of its total capacity in just 2 battery load cycles. That doesn't seem right. So what I'm going to do is, once again tonight, I'm going to sit on the couch with this thing and have a couple of beers and run it down to 0%, see how long the battery lasts, maybe keep some notes again. And then tomorrow, I'll run coconut battery again and see what we've got. So let's take this measurement here today. And hopefully this is a fluke and maybe it'll realign itself. Maybe the microcontroller in the battery just needs to figure itself out, but we'll see. Hopefully this is not a defective battery. If it is, hopefully the exchange process isn't too bad. Crap. Well, last night I ran it through another full load cycle down on the couch, just playing with it. And then today I actually ran it through another load cycle, just left it trying to play a YouTube video for a couple hours, and that drained the battery pretty quickly. And unfortunately, the battery seems to have gotten worse. So if we look at current battery capacity, it's now down to 3960 milliamp hours when it's supposed to be 4400 milliamp hours. So this battery has lost 10% of its total capacity in 4 load cycles. And that's extremely disappointing. So let me take that measurement here. And now we can see these 3 measurements. So when I first got the battery, it was 100% max capacity, 4400 milliamp hours. And then after 2 load cycles here, 94% at 4177 milliamp hours. And now today, after 4 load cycles, we're down to 90%, 3960 milliamp hours. And that's extremely disappointing because this battery is brand new and it has, well, it seems to have brand new Panasonic lithium ion cells, so brand new name brand cells. And it seems to be deteriorating. So I don't know if I just got a fluke battery, but I'm going to have to contact the seller. Fortunately, it was through Newegg, so we'll see what their exchange process is. But last night, I did keep a log of how the battery went down here. So it started at 5:50 p.m. at 100%, ended at 10:04 p.m. at 4%. And I tried to be a little more conservative with the battery, so I had it set to better battery life. I had it on 50% brightness, and basically I was web browsing the whole night. So I was just sitting on my couch with 10.4 Fox running on Wi-Fi, just looking up stuff that I want to do to this clamshell. And it seemed to me, subjectively, to be dying a lot faster than it was the first night. So I kept my little log, and I was a little bit more diligent this time. Started out 5:50 p.m. Battery claimed to have 10 hours and 21 minutes remaining. But then after a few minutes, it jumped down to 5:30, which was in line with the first night's estimation. And then it deteriorated pretty, not extremely more quickly than before, but it definitely seemed to be faster. And I feel like this was with less intensive use. So whereas on the first night when I got like 4.5 hours and felt like I could have got more if I was more conservative, last night I got like 4 or something hours and I was trying to be more conservative. So I'm going to have to say something is funky with this battery. So then the question is, would I recommend this battery? Well, that's a complicated answer, I think, because on one hand, the battery I got seems to be defective. But on the other hand, I did not have a battery that I could use even to rebuild before this. So this battery coming from Newegg, I'm going to try to return it and exchange it. And hopefully this is just a fluke and I'll get a new working battery back. But even if this isn't the highest quality battery, it's still a lot easier to go back and forth with a couple returns than it is to try and source a dead, good condition original battery, plus some cells, plus the time spent to solder everything together. Unless you have a broken battery and you like the idea of that kind of a project, buying this battery is a lot easier, and it will get your clamshell up and running in 7 to 9 days if you're in the United States. So on that bombshell, I think I'll end the video here on this kind of a disappointment, but I'll update the description or maybe post a new review with how hard or easy the exchange process is. But if you've enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe. And thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.